Hello, we are back again. Episode 3,
Third
third
floor
floor
theatrics.
theatrics in unison that time
Yep.
from
In
beautiful
sync.
in sync from the beautiful Studio 26. What are our topics tonight?
For the first part, we're going to be talking about generational differences, and then going into the second part of the podcast, we're going to be talking about social media.
Hmm.
Fun.
This is this is one that I will probably crash and burn on, especially on the social media part, but
Yeah. Well, I think between me and you two, I think we have a lot of things we can add to the generational differences.
oh yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
It'll
So you
definitely be interesting.
you want to kick that off, or do you want to is there anything you want to say before we kick it off, or
Um, no, I'll kick it off. My opinion on, well, not really opinion, my take on generational differences is we all grow up with what we're used to. And with me being younger, I haven't really experienced so much how the world has changed drastically. Like
uh
let's say someone that's 70 years old, the world is nothing like what it was 70 years ago.
mhm.
So for me, like I'm still
A
like,
baby.
yeah, everything for me is still kind of normal. Like I don't remember having a smartphone or anything when I was young. Like you see 3-year-olds now with running around with the smartphone, playing
Right.
games and stuff on it. We never had any of that or anything, but it was still nothing like it was 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think with that, it like everything changed a lot. Like not just technology wise, but like how people interact, what people do day to day, everything. So, do you want to kind of talk about like what things were like for you, like as
Back
a
in the
child?
old days.
Yeah, back in the Stone Age.
I think definitely, I mean, I'm a hell of a lot older than you. We know that. We've established that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen a big change, from when I was a kid until now. I mean, I can see, and I don't know if you'll see that much change, like from when you were a kid till, say, by the time you're in your 40s. I
Yeah,
don't know
you
how
can't
much,
predict it.
but for me, there's been a big change. I mean, when I was a kid, you didn't have, I mean, technology wise, you didn't have cell phones of any kind were not really a thing. Um, you had VCRs, you know, um, VHS tapes. I mean, that was you had video stores which were huge. They kind of took off in the 80s and were just for a while like every little town had a couple or at least one video store, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like it was such a new experience where people were renting movies and watching them in their home. You didn't have to watch. You didn't have to wait till they became network premieres, and you didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about commercials and people. So that was a huge thing. Well, now that sort of went away,
Yeah, now that's like if I want to watch a movie, I can have it up within a matter of
right?
minutes.
Which I
Like,
hate.
well, yeah,
You
but
know that I hate that. I like to own it, and see that
hmm
goes partially as my personality as a collector, and also I just like to own it and have the physical item. But um, so yeah, when I was a kid, you had no cell phones, you had no smartphones, you had there was DVDs and CDs were not even a thing. It was records, tapes, or VHS tapes, and then it slowly transitioned into DVDs. VHS went away,
hmm
and then CDs became a thing. Vinyl and cassettes went away. Now
vinyl's
vinyl
coming back.
vinyl has made a big comeback, but and you just a lot more people back in the day used cash. Now everybody uses their cards, and uh, it is a different. I mean, I can look back to when I was a teenager until now, and which has been a long, 30 years. But I it there's definitely been a big change that I've noticed. It seems like different worlds almost. Like like for a long time everything was this way. Then it slowly started changing. Now everything is
Yeah.
this
Went
way.
from like 0 to 100 pretty much.
It changed a lot.
hmm
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know, you know, like my grandpa I had mentioned in an earlier episode, being born in 1920,
hmm
he I can imagine the stuff he saw. He lived from 1920 to 2015,
Oh yeah, that's insane.
95 years. So when he was a kid, there was like none of I mean the stuff that like the stuff like there was a big change for me growing up, but for him like,
hmm
oh my God, like You can't even
Yeah.
imagine, like he saw cell phones when he was older. He saw that stuff, so like, which was alien to him because it was like,
Yeah. And for me, like that's what I'm kind of curious about is like say when I'm 90 years old, if I make it that far, like what's the world going to be like? Like what is going to be
Mhm.
the normal? And am I going to be one of those like older people that like rejects technology and like it's like, "Oh, back in my day like we use this and that's what I'm doing." And I don't I don't see myself doing that cuz like I love technology. Like I like having the
Yeah.
like learning up on the
Well,
newest things and everything
there
like
was there
that.
was a period of time in the '80s where they thought by now we'd be in flying cars,
Yeah, I remember
and that, of
that.
course, never happened.
Well, no,
So
but one of the things I do think is going to change, like say when I'm 70, I don't think gasoline cars are going to be hardly a thing at all anymore because you see all
they may not. You don't
these
know.
big name companies are like pledging to be fully electric by like
Hmm.
2030,
But
and that's
those
not too far
those
away.
companies, though, they're going to have to find a way to make money, or they won't do it.
Hmm.
It's all about money. So if they can make money doing this, then they'll do it. I mean,
Well, the electric car market is
oh, it's
insane
taken
now.
off,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
But it's going to have to be refined to get big, better and better and better and better and
Hmm.
better. There for a while you had an electric car, you can only drive for like an hour, and you had to charge it.
Hmm.
Well, you can't travel
Yeah.
on that because I'm driving across country. Well, you can't.
Yeah, some of the stuff they're doing with them though is like amazing.
Mm.
Like with Tesla, if you put in a road trip onto like the map in the car, it'll plan out the road trip to stop at the charging stations for
Really?
you. Yeah, like it takes it out
Yeah.
of your hands. Like it
Yeah,
does it
I
all on its own.
I know, just like when I was a kid, we've talked about my filmmaking. When I was a kid, we were still using film, like
Hmm.
actual film, not VHS, but film. We were using we had Super 8 cameras, and you'd go buy a film cartridge. And it was 5 minutes worth of film, and
Hmm.
you would put it in, and you would film, and then you had to get it developed, and you would get it on a reel, and you had
Yeah.
to put it on a projector. We were still doing that when I was a little kid in the early '80s. My older brother had a couple Super 8 cameras. Well, then that transitioned to VHS cameras.
Hmm.
Well, then that transitioned to digital cameras, which are using SD cards.
Uh-huh.
So right there is three generations worth of that, and that's what I'm saying. Is like, how far is that? Like in your lifetime, we still might be using digital cameras with SD cards.
Hmm.
Is it going to transition to something else? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, the
I
thing
mean,
is, like those that Super 8 camera you were talking about. Like nowadays, like with the smartphone, the camera is so small, but it's such a better quality image and it's instant. Like you don't have
mhm,
to get it developed. And like if someone told you that there was going to be a way better camera that could,
aliens.
yeah, it's like you people wouldn't have believed
Yeah.
it. So it's hard to tell what's going to be the normal
No,
in a
and
few
and I think
years.
back when my grandpa was born, we had never went into space. In
Hmm.
1920, they were just flying airplanes. They just started flying airplanes in the 20s, and not too far before that, long before that. So in his lifetime, he saw people go into space. He saw people on the moon. He saw jets. He'd go from airplanes to jets.
Hmm.
He saw indoor plumbing be a thing. He saw
Indoor plumbing is one of the greatest
right. I mean, he was
modern.
a kid. It was outhouse. They had an outhouse. He
Hmm.
told me when he was a kid. Now, granted, he didn't grow up. He grew up pretty poor, but he would tell me that in the winter, and this is legitimate, that the snow would come through the wall, and they'd wake up in the morning with snow on their blanket.
That's crazy.
That like there was like there was no like insulation in the house, and there was gaps, and they would wake up with snow on their bed. And so in his lifetime, he went from that to having central air and central heat
Hmm.
in his house. So he saw like I said, by the time he passed away in 2015 at 95, I mean, he almost made it to 100. Um, we had cell phones and we had satellites and we had this and that, and so he saw a massive change,
Hmm.
you know. And to him, from when he grew up in the 20s to kids growing up in the 2000s, they're so different that you couldn't even how could he relate, or how could they relate to him, because it's so different.
Yeah.
um
It's like a brand new world, pretty
right.
much. And a lot of it, like it's changed so much within like I'd say the last 30 years maybe. That's when it's like really boomed,
Probably.
like with computers and
Yeah.
everything like that. Um
Right.
so yeah, it's been insane. So what are some things you want to talk about with the differences between like your generation and my generation?
Uh, man, I mean, I I feel like there's a huge gap. I feel like there's a huge gap. Just, I mean, the fact that I mean, I don't know how much older I am than you. God, I don't even want to do the math right now, but uh, no, I mean, I think like pick an age, like when you were like your age now. Let's
Mhm.
say when I was your age, when I was 22.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, you everything now is so cell phone driven.
Yeah.
The cell phone culture, which I'm not a part of.
Hmm.
We know this.
Yeah, you
Everybody,
still use your
I
flip
do.
phone.
Flip phones for life. Flip
Hmm.
phones for life. There's an artist that I'm friends with, and actually he's a comic book artist. He's established. I mean, he works for DC, and he's not DC. He works for Dark Horse and some other companies, and he's self published some stuff. And he's a flip phone guy, and so we
Hmm.
joke about that. Flip phone for life. But yeah, I mean, nowadays you guys are everything is so cell phone driven. Everything's done on your phone. You use your phone for travel. You use your phone for buying stuff. You use your
Yeah.
phone for talking still.
And I feel like a lot of that like is what we kind of have to do. Like there's so many things now that like require an app
Right.
or
Which is
also
which I hate. I mean, and see that's my generation. Like
and we
you
have it accessible to us like for travel and stuff. Like
right,
why would we go out and buy $100 Garmin
right,
that's outdated and we have to update
right,
and all that kind of stuff when we already have something that
right.
does a better job?
Well, I mean, I think just aside of like electronics or technology in that way, I think when I was 22, if you wanted to meet somebody, you still had to go out and meet them.
Hmm.
You guys don't have to. You can do it over your phone.
Yeah.
There's all the dating sites and apps, and then you can text people and FaceTime people and all this stuff that it was not around. So like I think that's a big generational difference. When I was in my 20s, if I wanted to meet somebody or talk to somebody, I had to either physically go meet them somewhere, call them on the phone, or really old school, write a letter.
I see. I couldn't imagine doing that.
And so nowadays it's like everybody's talking online. You got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got Instagram, you got all this stuff. And I don't know that it's better in a lot of ways. I think
I can agree with that. Yeah.
for relationships, people don't know anybody. They just it's the equivalent of talking on the phone, I guess. But it almost like it ends there. Like in the old days, you would call somebody on the phone and say, "Hey, let's meet. Let's go meet
Hmm.
up." And you guys, you have a date or you meet with your buddies or whatever. And now it's almost like it's just communication online or whatever over your phones, and that's it. It just ends there.
Yeah.
Like that's the extent of the relationship. Like, well, we talk on Facebook, we talk online, we talk. It's like but I mean, how many times have you? There's people like say they've met somebody, like, oh, I met a girl.
Hmm.
Well, have you guys met? Oh, well, we talk online. So you've never met?
Yeah.
No, we've never met. So
Hmm.
you've never actually met this person in person? No, we just talk online. And to me, I don't know that that's better.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
in a lot of ways it is, but it's also not. Like it's nice that you can pretty much reach out to anybody in the world now
Well, that's
that is
cool.
online. Like that's something that's
I mean, that's cool. I mean,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, I talk to people through Facebook that live in California, live in New York, that
Hmm.
live in Japan,
Yeah.
and that's super cool. That is super cool. But for personal
You can't let that
relationships,
be the only thing you
no.
do.
And I think there's a lot of young people that do though.
Yeah, like there's like and I'm guilty of this like
Well, you don't want to leave your
I'm weird
house,
talking. Yeah.
so
Well, I
that
like when people call me and stuff, like that's just not something people my age do anymore.
yeah,
Like we don't really talk on the phone a whole lot. Like if we need to say something, we usually will say it over text or we'll
yeah.
say it like when we're hanging out doing
And
something.
so, and what happens though there is you lose the art of communication. If you're just typing, And that would be the equivalent in the old days of sending a letter. It's written down. It's
Hmm.
text. It's typed. It's
Yeah,
you
but it's
know.
instant.
Well, I'm not
Yeah,
talking about the speed of it. I'm just
yeah.
saying there's no. It's very impersonal.
And
You write a letter,
it's
you send it.
preemptive too. Like you have time to sit and think about what you're going to say. It's not like a flowing
Right.
conversation.
So it's like the art of conversation, the art of having friends seems to be lost because everybody's just doing it online and it's like and like I said, it's like, "Oh, I've been talking to some girl. Okay, well, but I've never met her. We
Hmm.
just talk online. So you guys don't really have a relationship." Well, and a lot of young people say, "Yeah, we do. We talk online." Well, no, that's not a relationship, really.
Yeah.
And I think there's convenience with the modern technology, which is
Hmm.
good. And like I said, I've talked to people in Japan, super cool. I can send a message to somebody in California, even though there's 3 hour time difference,
Yeah.
and make sure as long as they're not in bed or whatever, but they're going to respond. That's super cool.
Hmm.
But to have personal relationships and only do it through electronics or through technology, you're really not having a relationship.
Yeah, and another thing, like I've seen pictures like this on Facebook before, like where it'll show like a picture from a long time ago, like where everybody's like on the subway or something, and
Hmm.
everybody's like either looking at each other, like it makes it look like everybody's talking, and then it'll show one of like modern day, and literally everybody's got a smartphone in their
Well, I
hands
went
looking
into
down.
yeah, I several weeks ago I was in a Starbucks
Mm-hmm.
and getting
Your chai latte.
my chai latte, and so I just ordered, and it was a long wait, and me and my brother were there, and I just kind of looked around, and everybody's on their phone, like there was like 10 people in there waiting on their drinks, and everybody was on the phone, like
Mm-hmm.
nobody was talking, nobody was communicating, they were looking down at their phone, and it's like it is a weird for me to sort of because that's not how in the old days people would talk and hang out and
Mm-hmm.
laugh and did it. Now they're just looking at phones and it's
Yeah,
silent.
and I do that. Like if I'm standing somewhere waiting on something and I don't really know what to do, I'll pull out my phone. And
Mhm.
I feel like that's just like a defense mechanism, like where you don't want to be awkward or anything. And I've wondered that, like, if I was Darren right now and I only had my flip phone, like, I don't know what I'd do.
Right.
I'd stand there and look,
Well,
I'd
see, that comes.
look like a deer in the headlights.
That's and that is a generational difference because in the old days there were no smartphones. There were no
Mhm.
really cell phones. The cell phones they had were basic, or even go before that where there were no cell
The
phones.
cups with the string tied to
Yeah.
them.
So you would just like if you were going into a restaurant, you would strike up a conversation with somebody, or
Hmm.
or you're waiting in line, you'd, hey man, what's going on? What do you think of this weather? Nowadays, everybody's looking at their damn phones, and it's like, you know, um, it's just it's a big difference. I think and I noticed that you probably will never experience that because the technology is already set,
Hmm.
and it will probably just keep improving.
Yeah.
But unless we go back to the Stone Age and there's like it's like Mad Max, the world is like we're in Mad Max where there's not everybody has to But another thing I've noticed is just um, and this is probably for the better is like smoking in public.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, you'd go through a department store and some guy'd be smoking a cigar, pushing a cart.
Hmm.
Nowadays, that seems so like
That
it's
guy would be tackled.
well, he would ask to leave the store and but back then, it was just commonplace. People were smoking out in public, and I think a lot more people smoked back then.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's a better thing that people aren't smoking in grocery stores
Yeah,
and
definitely.
restaurants and department stores because it's healthier for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something you've probably never experienced.
Well, I have to some extent. Like I think I've told you this before, but like I can remember growing up, like Denny's,
Hmm.
they had a
Oh
smoking
yeah,
section. Ponderosa, they had
yeah.
a smoking
Which was
section,
the
and I don't think they have those
I
anymore.
don't think they do either. But it was funny, and I always thought it was funny even back then. It was the smoking section, but it wasn't like closed off.
Hmm.
So like the smoke doesn't drift. What was the deal
Yeah,
there?
the only time in recent memory I can think of somewhere that like smoking was allowed
Hmm.
was when we were on vacation at the Las Vegas airport. They had a closed off room with like slot machines and stuff in it that you could gamble in while you waited for your flight. and people were smoking in there,
Yeah.
but it was completely closed off, like it was sealed.
It's
And that's the only thing in recent memory I can think of that I've seen people smoking out in public, other than like outside.
well, and it's like talk shows, like people that would go on talk shows, like they'll always be smoking. Go look up old, you know, go look up old clips of like Johnny Carson from the 70s or whatever. And the actor will come out and sit down on the couch and he's lighting up a cigarette and there's an
Mhm.
ashtray and just smoking away. And it's like nowadays that's totally unheard of.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of everybody in the old days in movies smoked.
Mhm.
Um, you still see it a little bit, but it's like all the characters in every TV show and every movie, they were always smoking. And everybody was drinking, brandy or something out of a little, like they always had a little decanter. And so
Mhm.
I think that because smoking is sort of looked down upon now, which for good reason, you don't see it as much even in popular culture stuff like movies and
Mhm.
TV shows. And now if it's set in the 70s, they'll try to be accurate. Well, they're smoking. But if it's set in current times, you don't see people smoking as much. It's just that's a difference too. That's generational.
Mhm. Yeah, and plus, like, it doesn't help either that like they keep raising like taxes on cigarettes and stuff like
Yeah, I
that.
think a
Like
pack of
they keep
cigarettes in New York is like $16 a pack.
That's ridiculous. Like that's insane.
People are still buying them. I mean, it's you're a
Mhm.
smoker, you're gonna buy them one way or another.
Well, I think it was Hawaii that passed some new kind of law with smoking where I'm not for sure exactly how it goes, but by the year like 2040, somewhere around there, I think, like the legal smoking age was going to be like 100 years old. Like they were going to keep raising it, and like you'd get
Well, that's not gonna
grandfathered.
happen.
Well, I don't know exactly
I
how it
think you've
went, but it
dreamt that.
no, it was a real thing.
Um, You got to be
I don't know. I
100 to buy a
probably
pack of
no, they
cigarettes?
were going to keep raising the age limit, and
Mm.
you'd get grandfathered in, but then it would keep going up. So like say you were smoking at 30 years old, you'd be fine, but in the future, the 30 years old wouldn't be the smoking age. Like you couldn't
You
buy,
couldn't buy cigarettes at age
yeah,
30.
somewhere along those lines. I don't know. I probably butchered that and made
That's
horrible
yeah.
sense of
Somebody
it,
will
but
somebody will listen to that and go, "No, that's
yeah,
wrong,
this
man."
kid's an idiot.
Yeah.
It was somewhere along those lines, though. And I think that's an interesting idea to just kind of phase out cigarettes because
Mhm.
really they are bad. But you got to think of it too. Like there's a lot of bad things that are legal, like
Mhm.
alcohol. Like it's not good for you. A lot of people drink, but
Drink in moderation, kids.
yeah,
Drink in moderation.
it's something it's not good for you.
Um, what other things is there anything that you notice or have questions about since I am older, or is there anything that you can think of that's like you think, man, what was it like when you were a kid doing this, or you know,
Um, I don't know. Like it's hard for me to imagine because like
because you
how I've grown up. Like I can't imagine. Like the only thing, and this is gonna sound really dumb, but the only thing I can think to like relate to that is like if the Wi-Fi or something goes out or the power goes out,
Mhm.
and it's like, well, now what do I do? I feel like because everybody my age knows that feeling. It's like, well, the Wi-Fi's out or oh,
Right.
the power went out. It's like, what do you do? And I feel like that's what you guys like that feeling that we get. Like that was the normal to you. Like you didn't have Wi-Fi and you didn't
Well,
have televisions that you could put anything on and watch whatever you wanted.
no, but I mean, when the cable would go out or the power would go out, it was
You
still
guys
always
really had nothing to do.
it was still an issue because if you were watching a movie and you lost power, you couldn't watch the movie, and it's like
Yeah, but for us, like if like say the Wi-Fi goes out, we can just put back the movie on exactly where we had it. No
right,
big deal.
yeah. Well,
So
yeah, there was no unless you owned it, unless it was a tape or a
mhm,
disc, you could just restart it. But yeah, if it was on TV, you'd lose it,
yeah.
because the movie kept playing through the broadcast, and you just lost the power in your area. So yeah, what you comes back on, you've missed the movie.
Hmm.
Um, That's something also as I noticed that, I think you guys have it so much easier because when we were like when I was a kid, or even older than a kid, even just young adult, you want to watch a movie, um, you could record it on your VCR and watch it later. That became really popular. Just
Uh-huh.
record, set the timer, record it, and then you'd watch it later.
Yeah,
That
a
became
lot
a
of people still do that too. Like on Dish Network and
yeah.
DirecTV, like they'll put it
Well,
on their
yeah, on your
DVR on the
eight.
The
Yeah, well,
Hoppa.
you got your DVR on there, which yeah. I mean, we do that. We record stuff and watch it
Uh-huh.
later. But I mean, back then, let's say before VCRs were even popular, you would have like you had to like, oh, there's a movie on just Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
What time's it on? And then you had to be there.
Yeah.
There wasn't if you weren't recording it before VCRs became a thing, you had to be there, and you had to like commercials. And so now there's you don't have to worry about any of that. So it's made you guys weak.
Yeah. Like when a commercial comes on, like I'm like, this freaking
And
sucks.
you got to realize, like for me, uh, you know, it doesn't bother me because that's how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with commercials, and obviously commercials pay for the. I mean, they're sponsors. It's their sponsorship. They're getting paid, but it doesn't bother me because I grew up that way. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily enjoy it, and since a lot of stuff's on cable that doesn't have commercials or is on disc or something you record and you can zip through the commercials or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
cut out the commercials, but that's stuff you guys don't ever have to really deal with unless you're watching network TV.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is kind of becoming way less popular because,
well,
well, a lot of people now, if they're wanting to watch like live TV, they'll stream it like
yeah,
on Hulu
yeah.
Live or something
I
because
don't think.
cable is still so
Well, it
expensive.
is. I don't think we'll ever lose network TV. I think you're always going to have network shows. You're always going to have network sitcoms. You're
Yeah,
always,
but I don't think it'll be on cable. I think it'll
mm,
all be streamed.
well, or satellite.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't think we'll ever go full streaming. Just like I don't think we'll ever go. I don't think we'll ever lose CDs. I don't think we'll ever lose DVDs because people still like. This goes back to this is not such a generational. I guess it is, but there's a group of people like myself who are collectors,
Hmm.
and they want to own it because you don't own it when it's on the cloud or
You
you.
don't own a physical
No,
copy.
it's there. When you have a physical copy, you can hold that sucker in your hand, and you've got the artwork and the photos, and it's in your hand. It's physical, and that kind of goes back to having a relationship online. It's not a real relationship.
Hmm.
It's have you gave that person a hug ever? Oh no, I talked to him online. Well, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think things will just like vinyl coming back.
Yeah.
Just like vinyl was dead,
Hmm.
and then I think it was last year or the year before that physical. And this is it was either 2019 or 20. It might have been 2019. Physical copies outsold downloads for the first time in like 20 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So and that was in this, the part of the strength of that was vinyl because
Hmm.
vinyl has become people like the sound of vinyl. It has a warm sound and they like the
Hmm.
sound and they
See, I've
like
never even listened to vinyl. What it sounds like.
it has a warm sound and it's nostalgic too. People grew up that
Hmm.
way. And you've got the record and you've got the artwork and this huge sleeve with the artwork and the photos and plus people collect those.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Like
they
my sister, she got two records for Christmas this year.
Mhm.
So yeah, like it's definitely coming back. One thing before we kind of close on this topic is I want to ask you like you said when you were 22,
Mhm.
like what would you do for fun? Like what was your typical day and then like what was your day that you kind of just you would go out and do something?
I was usually drunk in the yard, and I'd wake up at random times in the grass. No, that's totally untrue. Like a day off or like a weekend or something.
Give me like a normal day to day for you.
Well, when I
And
was in my early
then give
20s,
me
I was working full
like a
time.
like a fun day. Okay, well give me like I don't know.
Saturday?
Sure, give me a Saturday. What would you do on a
Saturday,
Saturday?
um, I'd sleep in.
Mhm.
I'd sleep in because I was getting up early during the week going to work. So I'd sleep in, then I'd get up. Some Saturdays was just hanging out at the house, just watching movies and just messing around. I had a group of friends that used to run around with, and we would sometimes get together, and a lot of times we would go night fishing. So we would just all we would we wouldn't get together till late at night, and then we'd
Hmm.
stay out like all night just hanging out and had a bonfire, and just it was we didn't care about fishing so much. It was just like, hey, let's hang out and screw around and have food and talk and be stupid.
Hmm.
And I mean, it was, I was kind of a homebody too for a long time, and I still am. So I mean, I was home a lot, but I mean, other than having like the technology, it probably wasn't a whole lot different.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of gonna say. Like the things we do are kind of similar. It's just the way we do them are way
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Like you guys would come, or I'm sure like you and your buddies would get together and watch a movie or
And it was always
something like
rent a
that.
tape. You'd go
Yeah,
rent a tape.
and people nowadays they get together, they watch movies and stuff. It's just the way they do it is totally
Yeah, it's
different.
download or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I mean that's it's just the yeah, people are still getting together and watching movies and hanging out, but it's the delivery of the film as
Hmm.
opposed to a physical tape, as opposed to a download. Right, boom, it's there, instantaneous on your
Hmm.
TV. Yeah, that's the difference, because you had to cut out about 3 or 4 steps. Well, what are we going to rent? Well, you make a trip to the video store, and then you look at
Yeah.
thousands of tapes, and then you say we're going to rent this, and
Hmm.
then you rent it, and then you drive home, and then there was 3 or 4 steps that are now gone. They're
Hmm.
cut out because they're not necessary. So
Yeah, well, now it's kind of even more complicated because you have all these platforms to watch things. I seen this video one time. It was called like The Dilemma of Choice.
mhm.
And it's like you have all these things on Netflix, a countless number of YouTube videos, and you have Hulu, and you're just overwhelmed by choice. So
Right.
it half the time it feels like you're sitting there thinking like, well, what should we go do, or what should we watch?
Mhm.
And I think that's something that's interesting because, like you said, you went to the video store and that's what you had. There was no,
But it was thousands.
yeah, but it's nothing compared to what it is now. There's
Yeah. Well,
millions, if not,
I still feel you guys are soft. You guys got it
well,
easy. So
that's up for debate. Um, okay, so is there anything else you want to add to that topic?
no, I think there's always going to be generational differences,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, and there always has
there always
been.
has been, there always will be, and
I
that's
think there's.
that's the way of the world. I mean, it's just that's how it is. It's
Mhm.
not that's not going to change, and there's no reason to fight it. You just it's just do what you like.
Yeah.
If you're a person that likes owning the copy and being old school, be old school. If you're a person that lives on technology and has a smart house
Hmm. Like me.
like you, then do that. I mean, just do what you want to do and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think. But
Hmm. Yeah, I can agree. So next topic is social media.
oh
Um,
boy,
so I and this is a thing that I'd say you're more active on social media than I am. Like
well,
I have more platforms than you, but I don't use those. I just
yeah,
get on there and look every now and then.
yeah,
But like you comment and you post like every day it seems like. And I
yeah,
I haven't posted in God knows how long. But
yeah,
I think that's just me. I don't think that
yeah,
summarizes most people my age.
right, yeah. I don't. The only social media I do is Facebook.
Hmm.
I don't really do any of the others.
The metaverse
Yeah, the
with
metaverse.
the Zuck.
Right. No, but I use it for either business type stuff with the
Hmm.
movies, or if I'm showing people my paintings, or if I'm putting up music, so it's business related, or it's just screwing around and being stupid,
Yeah, harassing people in Evansville for.
harassing restaurant owners
Yeah.
and stuff, or you know, um, and you see friends that post something, and there's always, I'll comment on that, or something, and sometimes I do it to screw with people,
Hmm.
and then there's a little bit of a fake argument that goes on, and it's just all stupid
Yeah.
and silly and fun. And I don't post private stuff really. I don't talk
Yeah.
about like, I mean, yeah, it's my birthday and people say happy birthday and all okay, but I don't post like stuff what's going on really with my
Hmm.
private life or
That's one of my pet peeves though, when people will post.
everything.
Yeah, they post everything like, "Oh, me and my wife got in a big argument tonight," and you know, and just goes into all that kind
I
of
think
stuff.
if you
It's
want to
like
use,
leave that off of
well,
there.
I would if I was gonna like do that, like what I would do is I would send a private message. Like if I was,
Exactly.
I might use Facebook and send a private and say, "Hey, I need to talk to you," and maybe then that would lead to a personal meeting with a buddy or a phone call to like say, "Hey, man, I'm going through some stuff. I need to talk to you." But I don't know that I would post it. And so many people do.
Yeah, people just will blast each other on social media now, and like I couldn't
Yeah,
imagine doing that to somebody.
right.
Like I hardly ever post on social media anyway, let alone blast somebody on there.
Yeah,
Like
there's a lot of arguments that go on and
it's
fighting and
yeah, and a lot of people are what they call keyboard warriors,
right.
where they'll say anything they want online because nobody's there to do anything about it. But if they wouldn't like dare say that in person, because
No, no, because they get clobbered.
yeah,
No, yeah, I know. There's people that like, like, hey, I just went and had a giant dump.
yeah,
Like I know you want to know that.
yeah, it,
Like I mean, and once again, do whatever you want. If it's we're not. It's not. There's no right or wrong. I think there is. There can be wrong
yeah,
if someone's attacking someone. That's not right.
yeah.
If you want to tell people that you had a giant bowel movement, go ahead. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Um,
Or majority of the people.
yeah, but if you want to post that, I mean, I guess maybe someone will get some interest out of it somewhere. You know, yeah, whatever. Social media, unfortunately, it can be really good. Like for my film business and
Hmm.
my art, but people get attacked.
I think people care way too much about it. Like they get so caught up in, oh, did you see what so and so posted, or did you see that so and so's following me now? And it's
Yeah.
like, who
Now, if I
cares?
had like, like I don't know, think of somebody famous real quick. Jim Carrey following me or something, if a film, that'd be
Uh,
super cool.
yeah.
Or some horror. We do horror films, so
Uh,
Moonlight Films. We'll do an episode of Moonlight Films too down the road. That'll be interesting. Maybe have a
mhm,
special guest or something.
yeah.
But um, yeah, if we do horror films, monster movies and stuff. So yeah, if we had like some horror director or horror actor that commented or was following us, well, that would be super cool.
Hmm.
Once again, it's business related. But I think when social media gets really bad is like you said, when people fight
Yeah. And I think a
and
lot of people do fight on there.
or people get on.
And then people get blocked, and then if you see that person in person, it's like,
It's
ugh.
awkward city.
Yeah, instead of you keep fighting most of the time, people are just quiet and like, oh, I hate you silently.
Well, and I think there's a lot of people who leave social media because they've had a bad
Mm-hmm.
spell with it, and someone will post something and then the attacks start and they just start getting jumped on by everybody and anybody and everybody start just attacking them. And they're like, well, I'm leaving Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving Twitter. I'm leaving because I've been attacked. And I was like, well, it's par for the course.
Yeah.
If you're posting something on social media that can be seen around the world by billions of people,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably going to have somebody say something that you don't like.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have somebody say you're an idiot or you're dumb or don't agree with it. And then you either have to let it go or defend yourself. Well, then that keeps the whole
Keeps
thing
it, yeah.
rolling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
And like I was saying earlier, like I don't post, and it's because I don't really care to. Like
mhm.
there's nothing that I do that I feel like is worthy of being put on Facebook.
Like I
Like
just took a nap.
I'll wish somebody happy birthday every now and then if I remember, like if it sends me the notification. But other than that, like I don't post because I don't know what I would even post that would
Well,
not sound,
stupid.
yeah, like
There,
I don't know.
because there are people that post
Like I don't care
every
enough
minute of
to.
their day.
Yeah, and I
I
don't.
just got up. Well, I'm gonna have breakfast. Well, I'm gonna go to the store. Yeah, I just took a shower. I mean, they post
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
And like I don't know if it's they're so lonely that that's what they're doing, or if they're trying to get reaction, or if they think they're so important that everybody wants to know what they're doing. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't get it.
I think there's a lot of different reasons that people could do that, and we're not saying that like shame on you if you do that, but it's like it's not the majority. Like a lot of majority of people don't post
I don't know. I mean,
that
there's probably a
much.
lot that do.
Well, yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people don't.
Right.
Like I've known a couple people that post way too much,
Right.
and
It gets out of hand.
yeah, it's like I don't want to sound mean, but it's like nobody really cares. Like nobody cares that you just went to Walmart and saw that such
Jam.
and such was out of stock.
Oh.
It's like
Pringles are out of stock. I'm mad.
yeah, it's like you with your what are they called? They never have anymore.
Boy.
Combos. Yeah, that's what they are.
You got to get the family size, monster size bag of combos. Well, nobody has them anymore.
No.
The only way that that's even like a good thing is, I guess, if you post that and somebody goes, "Well, I was just at some store and they've got them," and then you go, "Oh,
Well,
okay,
yeah, but that was an example.
right."
Yeah. I guess that was a bad example because no one, if someone saw that and noticed that something was out of stock at Walmart, I mean, that would be kind of a good thing.
Yeah, they might tell you, and then you run somewhere else, or hey, they got them at IGA in Princeton or whatever, and you drive down there to get them because people will.
Then it turns out they were trolling you and they never actually.
Well, that could be a problem too.
Yeah,
People
then
screw with you.
yeah, then you get in a fight on social media again. It's
Yeah.
just a revolving door.
It's almost like a because that stuff never happened. This kind of goes back to generational stuff, but that never happened in the old days. Like it made it simpler because if you had a beef with somebody, if you had an argument with somebody, it was somebody that you had trouble with at work or at a get together or friends, and it was something that you were online. It's just you're just people talking. It's just
and it's there for everybody to see.
right. It's so. Yeah, you put stuff online, the whole world sees it.
Yeah, and it's stuff that you can't take back. Like if say me and you, this is gonna sound bad, but like say if me and you were in an argument at work and like I said something I shouldn't have, and like you were like, no, Noah came and he said that, I could easily just say, no, I never said that.
Right.
But if you put it online, it's like, no, he definitely said that.
Right.
So like you have to really watch what
Yeah.
you say.
Yeah.
Not saying that you shouldn't watch what you say in general, but
Right.
it's more risky online.
So I think social media is it's okay.
I think there's a lot of good things.
There's a lot of good things it can be used for. It's okay. I think people
should be limited to maybe one post per day.
Well, I don't know about
There
that.
should be a new rule.
But that might get to be a little bit too much like censorship. But I think that it's good if you use it right. It can be used good for entertainment or for fun or for business. And if you want to be if you want to be the kind of person that tells everybody your personal, but go ahead. But just know that it can backfire on you, and just know that well, I got attacked on there. All these people are attacking me. Well, that's what happens on social media. And there's some people who are just totally against social media. They don't use any social media.
Yeah,
they don't use any. I mean, they don't do Facebook. They don't do Twitter. They don't do nothing. And maybe their lives are simpler and better. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a lot of friends drop off. I go through my friends list on Facebook, for instance, and they've dropped off. They've dropped off. They've dropped off. There's a whole list of people that just don't have accounts anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of how I am. Like I said, I don't post, and really the only reason I keep it around is like to keep my account active, and like if somebody does tag me in something, which is rare, like I can still see it. And I can check in on like, say like if somebody's kids are
sick or something.
I don't know. Like as an example. But I think social media is good for two things. Being able to like connect with anybody that you want as long as you both have an account on whatever platform. And it's good for like families. Yeah. Like grandparents
that live far away, maybe, or
like you can get on there and you can see like what your grandkids are doing or what your brother and whatever are doing. I think it's really good for that. And like not just family, but like friends. But I feel like a lot of it has got so diluted by like you get ads and stuff all the time now.
Mhm.
You get people that just go on there just to either talk crap or just do whatever. And I think when it all first kind of started, like when Facebook, because it was kind of more a thing, or not a thing, like a newer thing,
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people did. They'd
Mhm.
reach out to people that they haven't talked to in a long time.
Right. Or lived on the
And
other side of the country or
yeah,
whatever.
and they would post like stuff for, oh, I posted this so grandma, whoever could see it and stuff.
Mhm.
And now I feel like people are just posting for either attention or something like that.
Well, I think it's like a lot of things. Social media is like a lot of other things. Um, it's one of those things where there's so many things that can be used.
In the wrong way.
Well, yeah, there's so many things that go bad that I mean, obviously, like it's in itself, social media is not inherently evil.
No.
It's not bad, but
Regardless if
it
you
can
what you think about Mark Zuckerberg.
well, yeah, that's a separate
But
issue.
yeah.
But it can be used for it can be used to be good or bad. It's almost like use it for the power of good. It's almost like you have a superpower. Okay, well, you're going to use it for good or bad. Well, you can go either way. You can be a hero or a supervillain, but and it's kind of like with social media. You can use it for good. You can use it for
Mhm.
positive things. You can use it for fun, or you can use it to trash people. You can use it to start fights. You can use it to be negative. You can use it so it's there to be used for, and that's why a lot of people are so against it. Yeah, it's so bad. Well, it's within itself, it's not bad,
Mhm.
but people just that's like people like, I think we should ban social media and social media is not good and it's horrible, it's evil. It's like, no, it's all how you use it.
Mhm.
Like if you have a bunch of money, well, you can be smart and use that money for good and help people, help, charities, help family members, or you can go blow it on drugs and
Yeah.
cars and be destructive and just be a bad person. I mean, so it's not a bad thing. It's how you use it.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Um, but I mean, there for the longest time, I didn't do Facebook for the longest time. And I remember I was working with on a project with an artist and she didn't do Facebook either. And we both were like, nah, we don't like Facebook. This is like just like 10 years ago. And she's like, I don't do Facebook either. And then I started an account and I started, for me, being just a Facebook guy only, I have linked up with so many people in the art world, in the comic book world, in the music world, in the film world that I would never, ever in a million years hook up with
Mhm.
if it hadn't been for social media. Like there's people who I respect as artists and musicians that I'm Facebook friends with now and I have conversations with.
Mhm.
And that would never have happened if it wasn't for social media, because in the old days you would never met that person. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
talking, hey, I just talked to the guy that directed a film yesterday. That wouldn't have happened,
Mhm.
or hey, I just got hooked up with an actor. We're going to get this actor in one of our movies. That wouldn't have happened if you didn't have social media. So it can be used as a tool for positive things.
Mhm.
But so
Definitely.
many people they don't have any. I don't want to say I don't want to say they don't have anything going on in life, but they just get on there and they start fights and arguments and then it looks bad and then you got the, people going, well, see, it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah, and even people that aren't on there to start fights or say they're not even in any fights. You got people that spend so much of their time on
That's all they
there.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've known people like that and it's like, come on, like get off your phone. Like get off
Well,
Facebook, get
that's
off
that goes back to
Instagram.
what we talked earlier about the cultural stuff or
Yeah.
the generational stuff with people on their phones all the time.
Yeah. And really unless I'm talking to someone like texting, I will get on my phone, text them back, put my phone down.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm not on my phone a whole lot unless this is gonna sound bad, but like unless I'm at work and I'm bored.
Well,
But
no one heard that.
yeah. But I mean it's true. Like I'm not on my phone a whole lot. Like if I'm with somebody, you won't hardly see me pick up my phone.
Right.
And a lot of people, especially my age, are guilty of that, or not guilty. I don't know what I'm saying. They don't do that. Like
Yeah,
you,
they're on it all the time, constantly, 24/7, and they
yeah,
don't.
regardless of who they're with. Like you can
Right,
be out to dinner with somebody and
they're on
you're
their
both,
phone.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
think that's incredibly rude.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and it's hard to have a conversation with someone when they're on their phone all the time. If you're
yeah.
like if you're hanging out with somebody and you, hey man, I'm telling the story, you look over and they're on the phone and you're like, were you paying attention? Were you
Mhm.
listening to what I was telling you or not? I mean,
Yeah.
but no, I think social media is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and there's going to be more platforms and there's going to be more of it. It's not going anywhere.
No.
So,
Yeah. Social media will probably be around and as long as humans are around
yeah, it's a
from now
thing
on.
now. It's a thing
Yeah.
now. It has been a thing for several years. It's not going anywhere. So, just be smart about it and use it the right way and just
Hmm.
like I said, I have fun with it. I just do silly stuff. I post a lot of projects I'm working on, so it's a business thing.
Hmm. It opens up a lot of
It
doors
does.
for
Well,
like
as I
somebody in
said,
your situation.
there's people that I would never have been able to contact or have communication with if it wasn't for social media. It would just wouldn't
Hmm.
happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it can be great. Um,
Yeah. Just don't get too caught up in it. Like, don't try not to care too much about like how many likes you get or so and
who
so didn't
cares?
like your post. And
Right,
like, I think all that stuff is dumb.
right.
Um,
I don't like really like anything. It's just funny because I'm on Facebook quite a bit when I'm at home, and
mhm.
even stuff that gets posted, even stuff that Ian, my movie partner, will post about our film business, I won't even like it. Like
Oh.
our own stuff, I just don't. It's not a thing. I'll comment on it, and
Hmm.
I'll have a conversation about it or say something about it or whatever. But just the likes, I just don't hardly like anything unless I'm liking a business, so I have access to that business. Like you
Hmm.
like a
Like
business,
a page.
yeah, you
Yeah.
like a page that way you can go to it. And
Hmm.
but it is what it is. It's going to be around. It's not going anywhere, and people just need to be smart and use it in a positive way and not try to be vindictive or malicious about it.
Hmm.
And if you can do that, it's fine.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Anything else you want to add, or you think we're about ready to wrap up the
I
third
think
episode?
I'm good with the social media topic. If we're ready to roll on and wrap it up,
Okay.
how do you feel about you?
Uh, Yeah, I feel pretty good. Thanks guys for watching till the end. If you made it this far, appreciate it. Like I said, every Monday got a new episode coming out, so stay tuned.